All right, everybody, welcome to USfanTV. We are live following the U.S.'s victory over Trinidad and Tobago, 2-0. 2 goals from Christian Pulisic. Hershey Messi showing that even though apparently our offense can only go through him, we can actually, depending on who it is, doesn't matter. We'll just make it happen anyway. We should be joined by Pat here momentarily. He's still live on Denver and trying to join us, but running into some problems because he's trying to connect in a stadium that's full of people. We got TJ who's going to join us momentarily as well. But in the meantime, you got me. I'm Chris here, as always, or generally as always, here to talk about the thing we love best, the U.S. national team, right? All right. What'd you guys think? Not a pretty game. Kind of ugly overall, but we got Pat joining us, I think.
Pat, yeah, here, I'll go over. Show you my...
Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Maybe he's going to join us. Anyway,
right here.
Not an especially pretty game, but you know we got the win. We're back on track for qualifying, for the time being at least. We moved into the third place
guys,
position. Okay, can you hear us now?
I can hear you. I've been able to. But
you're breaking up. I'm not sure I can hear you. You still there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you. We're not really getting a picture of you, it looks like, but yes. Go, talk.
All right. Well, I am experiencing the park in Colorado. That was a wonderful match. I don't do the job, but again. But
yeah, you're breaking up. Why don't you try to connect here in a few minutes? Maybe parking lot or something will help. All right. Well, in the meantime, we'll keep talking here. So, yeah, it wasn't a thrilling match by any means. I would say overall it was. It got the result we wanted. Like I said, we've moved into third place in our qualifying group in the Hex, but you know there were still an awful lot of things that you wanted to see better, particularly when you fielded more or less the number one choice at every position. I suppose I would say, and some others would say that Bobby Wood probably should fit into that number one spot. But nonetheless, certainly this was probably Bruce's first choice at every position on the field. And playing a team that is in last place in the Hex, but also who should just be not as competitive as we are. You wanted to see more. You wanted to see more control. It seemed that the U.S. was probably playing down a little bit. You know, trying to maintain some, just make sure they didn't get hurt, not wear themselves out too much, considering they have to play at Azteca and play Mexico in 3 days' time. So there's certainly something to be said for the fact that you know you saw the players sit back a little bit, but you definitely wanted to see some level of possession, some real, I guess, momentum or you know, control of the game, and that was kind of lacking. The good news: no yellow card suspensions from tonight, no injuries. So I think really that was kind of my fear. That's why I had a bit of was predicting a different lineup for this game. Really, I didn't want to see either Cameron, who it looked a couple times might be in danger of a yellow card, or Brooks, who it looked like was kind of withholding on a lot of runs and things, taking some stumbles or some slow steps, because it just looked like he wasn't trying very hard. I assume it's still probably his hamstring. He didn't seem to be jumping very high. These were all things that, if it were up to me, I think I would have preferred to rest those guys. But as it was, we probably needed our best lineup, because aside from Pulisic, it wasn't a particularly dream-worthy game. TJ, welcome aboard. I can't hear you. You got to connect your mic. Anyway, I'll note again.
How about I don't mute it, and I just point out the fact that you and technology suck.
I have no problem. I emailed everything to you 5-10 minutes ago, whatever it was.
Yeah, apparently Pat has to forward it to me because you can't figure this shit out. So I saw
He
Pat.
gets it.
Yeah, so do you, but that's another story.
He's still trying to connect.
I know.
He was breaking up from trying to talk in the game.
Hey guys, can you hear me now?
Hey, now we got you.
What's going on?
And we can see you.
I can't hear you too good, but you can see I'm behind a giant Kellen Acosta.
Yes, we see you with Kellen Acosta.
There we go. And DeAndre Edwin for you there. Fabian. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And now we heard you perfectly until you
try again. I guess we need to try again. I'll go somewhere else.
All right. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know. What do you think, TJ? I mean, we got the result we wanted. No injuries, no yellow cards. Well, at least no suspensions from yellow cards. And we got the win. But beyond the fact that Pulisic is the best player and clearly our number 10, our entire offense went through him, period.
Yeah. So what's wrong with that?
Well, I don't know. You'd like to be able to see that we could do something beyond only use him. I mean, everything was find Pulisic, pass the ball to Pulisic, let Pulisic do something with the ball, and hope we score. Against a team certainly like TnT, you'd like to see more than that because, if nothing else, Mexico or just a better defensive team, they'll double, triple team Pulisic until he can't do anything, and who does it fall to after that?
Perhaps. I don't think in the second half that seemed to be more the case. I thought the first half everything wasn't. I didn't think as much of Pulisic in the first half. And somebody needs to screenshot that picture of Pat right now. If you can look at it's frozen. Oh, and it disappeared. No.
I like.
Okay, Pat's back
for a second here. Austin, I like your comment. So, what do they start calling Messi? The Argentinian Pulisic. Seriously, that kid. I was checking the goal scorers list tonight. He passed Paul Caligiuri, John Harkes, and Taylor Twellman tonight on the all-time scorers list. He's 36th on the all-time scorers list. He's 18, and his first cap was 14 months ago. 14 and a half, I guess, at this point. But come on.
But to be realistically, short of winning the World Cup, he's never going to score a goal as important as Caligiuri, though.
Well, that's true, but I mean that it's not like those are the only guys he passed on the list, but those are the standout guys. I mean, I tweeted earlier about him passing Caligiuri. To me, that was a big deal. I was hoping maybe Caligiuri himself would respond.
I mean, he knows better than to talk to you.
Well, whatever.
No,
I don't blame him.
No, I don't either. Like I said, I wasn't very impressed with the second half. Pulisic was absolutely phenomenal. The first half, I didn't think as much. I thought he was there, but just a guy in the first half more. In the first half, I was actually really impressed with Fabian Johnson pretty much in the first half. In the second half, it seemed like it went through Pulisic, but it also went through Yedlin and it went through Nagbe, and that was kind of a nice combo working on the right side. But you know what? To me, sitting there and saying, well, what you need to have other options other than Pulisic. Well, Argentina needs to have other options other than Messi, and funny, they don't.
Well, they do. They just don't. They don't use them because nobody's as good as him. Now, I'm not saying that he shouldn't be the center of our offense. I mean, he's clearly our centerpiece. Pat, are you there now?
I am.
All right, try this. Welcome from Mile High.
It is a mile high.
Emphasize the word high.
There was a lot of that today. I can tell you that. I don't know. I figured this is the last time I'm going to try this because the cell connection seems to keep dying. But I don't know. It seems to be working right now. Am I right? Is it working?
Yeah. You're a little fuzzy, but yeah, you're coming through.
Where were you guys at? Where did I
We were just saying that, it was an ugly game. Pulisic was all of the offense, but when he's that good, it works. He was definitely man of the match. We are in third place for now in qualification. I guess
yes, that's true.
This could change. There are 2 other games right now, but so there is the opportunity for that to change tonight. But for the time being, we're in third place, so we're back on track. No yellow card suspensions for the next game. No injuries, it looks like, for the next game. So we should have everyone there for the game at Azteca.
Yeah, it seemed to. I mean, not the refereeing in the first half. There were some suspect calls. Not really the finishing in the first half, especially. I mean, how many chances do you give Josie to not lead-foot it over the bar? But they got their act together in the second half, especially when we got our best player the ball, and it was the second half made up for a lackluster first half, and now it's on to Azteca, where I think you go for 3, you got to get 1, but I think you go for 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And watching Crow says, we say this wasn't thrilling, but if we got a win like this versus Mexico, we wouldn't be complaining. That's absolutely true.
Exactly.
I won't deny that one. Yeah. Any way we get a victory, it doesn't matter how ugly it is. If we can pull something like that, hell, if we can pull off a draw in Mexico, we're probably okay. We'll probably be pretty happy. But yeah, at this point, I think we have to play for the win.
This place was just from an atmosphere standpoint, it's a small stadium. Like I think the crowd was 19,000 and some, but it's a fantastic venue. We only played here for the Snow Classico, right? We have not, to my knowledge, played here any other games. We need to play more games here, and not just because we're trying to train at altitude to get used to Mexico. It's a fantastic venue. It puts what I deal with and TJ deals with in Bridgeview to shame. Let's see, close that up. It just really, really thoroughly impressed, and the weed was everywhere.
Well, I think that's gonna happen for the simple fact you have a bunch of people not from Colorado in Colorado that can do it legally.
Exactly. I thought pretty good today. I don't know what you guys thought, but we had him bombing down the sideline on our side in the first half, and some guys were complaining about him near me that he doesn't play any defense, but I really think he does since this last season at Newcastle. I really think he did a good job tonight. And some of the tackling that we saw from especially Brooks and Bradley in the second half, those slides that they went in perfectly on, that was outstanding stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about Villafana too in our comments, saying that his service is too inconsistent. I tweeted about that at some point during the game. Really, our crosses and our free kicks were all shit all night. I mean, we had I can't think of one truly perfect cross or free kick. There was really no service into the box that went as planned or went as we would hope to be. So, yeah, I won't just blame Villafana there. I thought everyone, even Pulisic's free kicks weren't that great for the most part tonight. So the one I actually will kind of give some credit to, though, Acosta's shot late in the game, whatever that was, the 75th, 78th minute, something like that. That was actually a decent shot, especially for a guy only on his second qualifier and only just minutes into the game. Sure, you'd want more, I guess. You'd always want a goal. You'd like it to be even better. But for somebody just coming in and for somebody so kind of new really to the national team, I thought that was actually impressive to quickly take a free kick and to take a decent shot with it.
Yeah, no, I think Acosta was good tonight. I mean, there was in a short sample size. And I agree, especially for somebody who doesn't have a lot of qualifier experience. He was fine. I think this is a good spot to get him more time that matters, because if you need him come Sunday, he won't be as overwhelmed. Although I don't know if anything can prepare you for Azteca. And holy shit, Pat, are you ugly from that shot?
I thought he paired well with Bradley, really well. I like the way they work together, unlike the way with Jones and Bradley would work together. I was surprised though, and you don't hear. We didn't get very much cell service in here until now, and you can kind of see that. I was surprised that Bobby Wood didn't start. Was there a reason given for the match at all?
Why Bobby Wood didn't start?
Bobby Wood, because I would have started him over Josie.
There was no reason given. I think a lot of people. I tweeted something about that at some point from USFanTV, the Twitter handle you should absolutely be following.
Absolutely.
And yeah, there were a number of people who seemed to be in agreement. I was kind of following along during the game, live tweeting things, and yeah, it's. I think a lot of people would like to see Wood out there. I didn't really understand Dempsey and Altidore up top anyway. Not to say that either of them couldn't play it, but just that what's the real value in it for this game? I don't know that Josie's necessary here. I think Wood probably should start over him, and Dempsey. I would have rather given him the rest. I didn't need him to score anyway.
I think you go Wood and Josie at Azteca. I mean, Deuce is in the last couple of games. I don't know if he's feeling any pressure about breaking Landon's record. I doubt that. It seems like he hasn't been totally effective, especially in the Venezuela match. But tonight too, he didn't seem to have the ball a lot, and maybe that's because Pulisic does have the ball a lot. I don't know, but. I would go Wood and Altidore up top at Azteca. I don't know about you guys, but Deuce, maybe you bring in, you've talked about, Chris, a lot of times on this show that you want to see Clint Dempsey in a super sub role. I think he'd be awesome in that role. Because if you need a goal late, you bring in him rested. Yeah, he's your guy.
Yeah, that's my feeling. I mean, especially in the first half, he and Josie had to drop too deep to get the ball, and then they weren't available in the box. And it's not like either of them are super speedsters. I mean, they're not necessarily slow, I guess, but they're not. It's not like they're Yedlin or Donovan out there where they're just going to tear past people and get into space, or Pulisic right now. They need to be positioned farther up the field, and when you're struggling to get the ball to them, dropping them back doesn't necessarily help us, and I don't think it's certainly not the game that Josie can play. That's just not his strength. And Dempsey, I think at this point in his career, is just too old for it. That's why that's really why I see him as a kind of super sub. Is the 70th minute, sure, he can run all over. He can probably still do 30 minutes, probably 45 at full speed. But
yeah,
when you're looking at 70, 80, 90 minutes, that to me is asking a lot, especially when you're playing it out at altitude.
He looked so good in that last round of qualifiers, though, especially the San Jose game, that it made me kind of think maybe we were wrong about him. But because at this point in his career, he's still smart, good, but maybe doesn't have that extra gear that some other guys have right now. My God, Pulisic, Yedlin's probably faster in a foot race, but Pulisic, when he gets the ball at the edge of the box and he just starts going, it's amazing the gear that he can shift into.
Poonslayer, I think Bedoya got the call up over Areola from the bench because Arena was going defense first.
Exactly, yeah.
All of his subs really were to add more defense, take off offense, add more defense, just to kind of preserve the win.
Him falling over was kind of comical when he came on. Maybe he didn't warm up enough or something, but that was.
I was trying to find the GIF of him booting that ball into his whatever it is, girlfriend, his wife, whoever she is. That one where they're playing soccer and he just punts that ball in her face. I was trying to find that and be like, this is going to be on the internet, maybe even better than that. That's actually how I did something like that going back into an adult league like 10 years ago. I did something like that with my first touch on the ball and popped my thumb. I think it tore a ligament. It's never been the same.
And that's one of those jokes. That's one of those jokes that screams, "That's what she said." I guess though, to answer Pat's question though about what would I do for Azteca, I wouldn't do.
Yes, TJ, what would you do?
I would not do Wood and Altidore together. I do Wood with the withdrawn Pulisic and then Acosta and Bradley together. Dual pivot in the middle.
I'd be all right with it. I wouldn't be surprised if we see maybe Acosta. I would guess probably at this point Dax is the more defensive choice there to put in. But I would alongside Bradley. I mean, but I expect we're going to see some kind of two central defensive midfield position setup. You know, if it's 4-2-3-1 or something.
Well, because you look at what happened after they did make the sub and they brought out Clint Dempsey and put on Acosta, and they pushed Pulisic almost to a withdrawn forward role. How much he was a lot more effective at that point.
Well, yeah,
that's
when
he can open the space. So
you're giving him the freedom to attack, and I think to some extent it helps because, or it helps him because you're not making him have to take on as many guys, have to move the ball up so much of the field himself. He's moving an extra 10 yards or something up the field, so he's presumably then only got one defender to beat.
Although,
two, I guess, depending on how you go, but
or six based on his second goal.
I mean, like as in kind of one, considering like the line of defenders, like one defender there, because certainly they were packing the box, and the real problem early in the first half was that we were, and this was kind of across the board, struggling to get through them because we'd get like past the first guy, but our next touch would be too long, and the next player would just smash you or just kick the ball away.
Guys, I'm only hearing about a third of what you're saying at this point, so I think I'm going to let you guys handle the rest of the show.
All right.
I will sign off from Colorado.
Yes, you'll have to post a good video.
I think his task for the night should be to go find Wando and get Wando to say "fuck Wando."
Bye, guys. You're
done. All right, TJ. So, what do you think for Mexico then?
Oh, I think they're going to be Mexico's bitch. I'd love to have optimism. I don't have it.
Well,
hopefully I'm proven wrong. I would have no problem with it being proven wrong. I think Mexico's the better side. You're playing at their place. I don't see it being Costa Rica bad, but I do see them losing. That's why realistically, I think your best chance is to play with one forward, and then, like I said, Pulisic as a withdrawn forward / central attacking midfielder, and see what you can get there, because you don't want him tracking all the way back like he did against Venezuela, and he did in pieces tonight. I think he's more effective, pushed a little forward, even further forward than a 10, more of like a false 9 maybe. I mean, more so.
Yeah.
It just
I will say, Honduras seems to be holding their own against Mexico right now at Azteca.
Yeah, I've got it on the other screen. I'm watching it as well. It's interesting to see that Gio Dos Santos is back in the starting 11 for Mexico tonight, considering they seem to hate MLS for the most part. Although it is Juan Carlos Osorio, who probably doesn't hate MLS as much. See, kind of put him back on the map.
I think they tend not to like MLS just because they tend not to like anyone who's not Chivas. Which is why I always hated Chivas USA.
Yeah, that's another story. Like I said, I think they get smashed at Azteca. Not that I don't think this team shouldn't qualify. That's just a hard place to go win. That's like going to, if you want to compare it sports, like that's like going into Lambeau in December or January. You don't do it easily. Can you do it? Can you win? Sure.
If the people at Lambeau threw bags of piss and shit and batteries and flares on you.
That's true. But
sticky players in Austin. You both bring up something that I forgot to mention. Pulisic called for a win at Azteca. He said, "We're going there. We're going to win." I love the confidence. This kid. he seems to not be overwhelmed by any of it. He seems to realize that he's talented enough to do what he wants, but he doesn't seem to have lost, I don't know, the idea that he still has to play with the team.
Well, but realistically, when you look at he comes from Dortmund, has he yet really, other than maybe playing Mexico, seen and maybe Costa Rica, seen a game as fast as he would see in the Bundesliga?
No, certainly not.
I think the bigger challenge for him is he goes into the spaces that he should be going in. It's getting somebody to deliver him the ball where it should be.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And
I mean, yeah, the real problem we're gonna have is we still need we need a second player to take some of the heat off him, and we need someone who can, feed him the ball, or for whom he can feed the ball and they will finish.
I guess I would say, Douglas Perez. I have a feeling they're going to hurt Pulisic at Azteca. My guess is I saw, and I can't remember who to credit for the post. Plus or minus 3 minutes before they just absolutely butcher Pulisic. I took the under on that. I don't think it's going to take that long. I think realistically, Marquez is just going to come right off the whistle, run up, and just hammer him just for the sheer sake that he can. And leave it at that.
And then Pulisic, there'll be no call, or Pulisic will somehow get a call on him.
Well, yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, that's kind of comparative to what happened with PK Subban and Crosby tonight. But yeah, I'd say the over-under on Pulisic getting absolutely mauled is within 3 minutes. It was Paul Torino who actually put that tweet out there. And I would say probably the first 6 minutes before Marquez gets his first elbow up into Pulisic's head.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know. Like I said, if there was ever a game though that called for wearing the Pride uniforms, that would be it. Unfortunately, it sounds like CONCACAF won't let them wear them. If I'm catching that right, that they had the white numbers tonight for that reason?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think they could only wear them for the friendlies.
Watching Crows, U.S. could win. Well, yeah, that's why, as they always say, that's why you play the game, as Herm Edwards always says. That's why you play it.
Well, and realistically, our last win and last draw there weren't particularly good games, and I don't think we were playing with a team as good as this one. We certainly didn't have, I think, as many first choice players as we do here. So yeah, it's certainly possible. I think on top of it, Mexico hasn't been playing particularly well lately. I think the people who are truly calling for us to get destroyed are looking at it more like both teams were in November. And Mexico, I think, was playing better than perhaps they are, and I think the U.S. was playing much worse than they really are. So I think in both cases you saw maybe not an untrue representation of each team.
Well, and I think you're 100% right. And I'll ask you the question: had they started to quit on Klinsmann already, or was it during the Costa Rica game they fully quit on him?
That is a good question. I mean, clearly by the end of the Costa Rica game, I think everyone was done. But it does kind of beg the question: were people already quitting by that Mexico game? Because when Bradley and Jones talk about, they went over and instructed Klinsmann that we were changing the formation 20 minutes in or whatever it was, that tells me the players were kind of done with them already. So if things hadn't turned already, I think they were. I think perhaps we were over the ledge, whether anyone knew it or not at that point.
No, the only one we knew at that point that was over the edge was Lance Armstrong. Leipzig, no Leipzig, no party. Leipzig, I have yet to see a beer sent my way from you, so we need to work on this. We need to work on this a little bit here.
We should be sending a Red Bull and vodka, right?
That's true too. I guess I wouldn't argue that. I agree. No, you're 100% right though, in that November was not representative. Mexico was on an upward track. The United States was on a downward track. And it seems like Mexico has kind of flatlined a little bit. where the U.S. has definitely stabilized under Bruce Arena. I'm not going to say they've progressed, but they've undone some of the damage that that Klinsmann had done, especially in those qualifiers. I feel like they're back closer to the form that got them into the semifinal of Copa versus what they are this year. So I guess we'll see.
Definitely,
Go ahead.
Things have improved or stabilized is probably a better way of putting it. And if maybe some of those crosses were better tonight, I think you would have looked at a different game. Now, some of it, especially in the first half, it is probably a good thing to point out that clearly the players already had their heads on Mexico, or at least were kind of conserving ahead of Mexico. So there is some extent to which we were sort of playing into TNT's hands, but
I don't necessarily agree with that they were conserving. They were looking ahead to Mexico in the first part of the game. And I wish I could tell you which one was said that he was surprised, whether it was Stu Holden or Landon Donovan. I really couldn't tell which one was which, only because I was trying to talk over two kids and tangled. Now that said, they were saying that they should be more on the front foot, not being so laid back early on. They should be playing higher pressure. And I think Alexi Lalas said the same thing at halftime, and I couldn't disagree with them more. You're at altitude. You're not in a hurry. You're going to break. If you're getting tired, they're going to be worse. And I think they knew that knew that going into it, because it kind of played similarly to Venezuela, except Venezuela is a much better team than Trinidad and Tobago. You got the first first half where they really sat back and absorbed a little bit, and it is 1-0 Mexico, by the way. And
you're ahead of me.
You've got to be.
They're still taking the corner right now.
Yeah, they score. But back on point was, when you're playing at altitude and you're going to get tired, you absorb early and let them come at you. You're not in a hurry. You let them come to you, and then later in the game, 60, 65 minutes, that's when you start playing. That's when you fully start integrating into your game. You build into it. And by the end, you had, you gotta be, was it fucking Marquez again? I only caught out of the corner of my eye.
It didn't look like it.
69 is this.
4. Yeah.
Was it fucking Marquez?
Looks like it.
Oh, no, it was Alanis.
Oh, okay.
So, anyway, point being, you don't rush into the game. You let the game come to you, like they did against Venezuela. You notice the same. It kind of trended the same way, and except this time, like I said, they're not near. Venezuela is much more skilled than Trinidad and Tobago. That's why it was 2-0 versus a 1-0. And by the way, I was a post away from having that one right at 3-0.
Yeah.
Although then again, you put in the crossbar to post, and Pat has it at 3-1. So
yeah. Really, we got lucky on that Kenwin Jones header. They got lucky on that Josie header. But on the whole, yeah, we were clearly the better team, even though we didn't show it for a lot of the game. And we needed everything to go through Pulisic. I was really impressed by TNT's keeper. I mean, some of the shots some of the saves he made were pretty impressive. Although he did get beat at the near post by Pulisic there.
I thank you for saying. I was just about to say, it was like, you don't get beat near post. As good as he was for most of the game, that goal is not. That's one he will look at and go, I'd want that one back.
Yeah.
Although let him take that one back, they lose 1-0 instead of 2-0. It's realistically, like I said, after about the 60th minute, give or take, their chances were a lot more few and further between as they tired. Again, that's what happens when you play it at 5,000 plus feet or 6,000 feet versus sea level that they do at Trinidad. So on to Mexico, I guess, right?
Yeah. Are you predicting the same lineup as tonight then?
No, I think Bobby Wood will figure in somewhere, and I would not be 100. Well, I'm not sure.
Up, though.
What's that?
If we only go one up top, I expect Bruce goes Josie.
I tend to agree. He seems to like favor Josie over Bobby Wood. I think Bobby Wood would be a better fit for that spot personally,
I think
especially
Wood
see.
better because he has the ability to kind of stretch their defense if need be. You know, if he has to run onto a ball, or if you know the forward, whomever it is, has to run onto a ball, I'd much rather have that be Bobby. One, Wood's faster, it would certainly appear, but two, I just if you know somebody has to take on a defender one on one, I would rather have it be Wood than Josie.
And well, and I'll go a different way, and just saying I think that Bobby Wood and Pulisic work better together than Pulisic and Josie Altidore, or even Pulisic and Clint Dempsey for that matter. If you're only doing one up top, you want the one that's going to work with your withdrawn forward. And so I think it's good. I think it's going to be Josie. I think you're right. I think it should be Bobby Wood paired with the withdrawn Pulisic, and then your two holding midfielders. Bruce is not afraid to play the young kids.
Yeah.
He proved that years ago. I think it's going to be Kellen Acosta. I think it's going to be Acosta and Bradley in a dual pivot. Dax is a smarter play, and Dax would be fine as well. Acosta has a lot more talent than Dax does. Dax is a little headier at this point in his career.
I think,
but I think Acosta's
be
talent.
A new Beckerman, essentially, you know, and Bradley tended to play well with Beckerman because he kind of knew what he had there, or you know, knew where his partner would be. But to me, if Dax was really gonna start and play at Azteca, he would have gotten some playing time in this game or the last game. And I think the fact that Bruce went to Acosta tells me that that's where he's going. But at the same time, I would have thought he would have started one of these games, though, if he was going to start there.
Well, and let me ask you this question. I'm starting to wonder if Michael Bradley's moving more kind of into a Claudio Reyna role back in, you know, and then you've got Pulisic playing the Landon Donovan piece, and then, you know, John O'Brien kind of in that, because he was still relatively young then too, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, I think he was 19 as well.
And so you have him almost like Acosta, where Bruce has seen this before, where the talent is young. And you've got Yedlin, obviously, as DeMarcus Beasley, that speedy wing that nobody can keep up with, although Yedlin doesn't fall down when the wind is right, like, or getting destroyed like DeMarcus Beasley. But that said, I think that Bruce isn't afraid to make that play, and I would not be surprised. I agree with Dominic. I think it's going to be Acosta. I think it's going to be Acosta and Bradley in a dual pivot. If Bruce has said as much, which, you know, these guys are watching the press conferences, unlike me, I'm just sitting here talking with you and drinking beer. So, no, it's going to be. I think it's going to be Acosta and Bradley, and then with, like I said, you can call it a 4-5-1 or you can call it a 4-4-2 with Pulisic as a withdrawn forward. Call it whatever you want to call it. It's the same damn thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that it's going to play out more like a 4-4-2, simply because Bruce is going to want to stack as much on the defense as possible, or toward the defense as possible. Going to do as much. I assume they're going to play something 3-4-3, 3-5-2 maybe.
Are you Mexico?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3-4-3 or 3-5-2
lined up in tonight, but I assume that's pretty much what they're going to go with, and we're going to have to do something to counter that. And naturally, they're probably going to hold the possession. We're going to have to get past the first 20 minutes or so, which is always the case. I would say at Azteca, maybe we have to get past the first 25, 30. After that, if we can hold that, then I think we can start looking at trying to steal a win.
And I think tonight, I think Sunday's got to play out a lot like tonight if you want to grab a point, or if you theoretically want to grab 3. Sit back and relax the first, you know, not real figuratively relax, not literally, but let the game come to you. Do not push the game.
We just can't want to pack behind the ball. We did in Columbus, because my comment ahead of that game was, it's Mexico. We know what Mexico does. They're going to come out and they're going to push. They're going to try and get an early goal. They always attack in the first 20 minutes. That's always what they do. And at home, they're going to try even harder because they want to get that crowd behind them. But so you got to withhold that. If you can't withstand that barrage, whatever, then you're in trouble. you got to bend a little but not break, and then take your chances. And that's where I do think somebody like Bobby Wood would come in handy, because maybe there is the chance that you just bomb a ball down the field if the pressure's too heavy, and you let him run onto something, and send him to the corner and let him dribble out of it. Or
I'm going to go on a weird tangent here, because, well, Lord knows I'm good at it. I agree, it's got to be Bobby Wood to do my strategy, which, if you want to call it that, make sure you have 9 behind the ball, but do exactly that. Let them bomb it out of the back, and do not bring Bobby Wood back to put 10 behind the ball. Leave him sitting up at midfield. Leave him sitting. I don't care how much they push forward. Leave him sitting out there. He will draw one, or he will draw 2 at least, and let him cherry pick. Yeah. Send him long and let him run.
Yeah, unfortunately, you've got to keep him up top, because I think he'll probably draw 2 guys off, and that'll help lessen some of the pressure.
And if they don't, I watched this with Guernsey, which I know is not the same level of caliber, but they had a game against a team that they were absorbing pressure, but they just left their one forward up there, and that's exactly how they bagged 2 and won the game. It's just send them long and let them cherry pick, and you're either going to respect it or you're going to lose the game.
Guernsey should be the fighting cows, or whatever the South Park mascot, like the logo is.
This is true. But like I said, I saw that there, and it kind of reminded me of that. Is you can have that huge gap between your midfield and your forwards, but you got to leave your one forward up there out on an island and hope he can do something. Yeah. And like I said, I think Bobby Wood does that. I don't think Josie Altidore does that. I don't think Clint Dempsey does that. They need help. I think Bobby Wood's your one option.
There are 2 things about Josie. One is that he absolutely needs help. While he can hold the ball up, he's not. We all know his first touch.
It's not Zarda's bad, but it's.
Well, the other thing I was going to say about him, though, is because he is so much bigger than most of the Mexican defenders, he kind of gets unnecessarily punished against a lot of these teams, because, he's bigger, he bumped into him, they fell down. I mean, Mexico's going to dive. They're going to look for cheap calls, and they're going to get them because they're Mexico, and this is Conca crap. I mean, we can't even get home refereeing at home. They get it away, much less at Azteca.
Well, that's because everybody hates us.
Might be true, but
and I think the other part of it is these crews are all from one country. I mean, and that
they don't like us. They just hate. They all hate us. We don't care.
Well, because they know you, and they look at it and go, you're fucked.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah. No, realistically though, when you get to Honduras, we had 3 referees from Honduras tonight. They're probably 3 of the best referees in that country, but their best referees don't pale in comparison to what the United States, as bad as you think MLS is, you put it next to the Honduran referees, they're amazing. Put it next to Mexico's referees, Honduras's referees are crap.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you run into. You don't have the quality of referees that you would see in Liga MX or MLS week in and week out. And that's why you talk about Conca crap refereeing. They're just not as good. They're not going to be as good. So,
Joshua, I won't agree that Bradley sucks at free kicks. The reason he's taken as many free kicks over the years as he has is that in the end, he probably is the most precise player at a ball, dropping a ball 40 yards away or something. He's not a particularly good shot taker on a free kick, but there aren't a lot of other guys who I would wager that they could score an Olympico. And not only has he done it, I mean, he's come within an inch or 2 of doing it like 3 or 4 times. He is. He's unfairly criticized. His free kick taking generally, his serves, his ability to make send a long ball in, are unlike most of the other players on the team. Now, Dempsey is a better, I think, shot taker at a free kick, but he's not a particularly good server of the ball.
No, I think you're right. When you put Dempsey on the ball, he's going right at the goal. He's good from about 30 yards and in, and bending it around a wall at some ungodly angle and just scoring. But if you need a service in, I could not agree with you more. It's Michael Bradley is the best at it that we've really had in a long time. That does that he does it consistently. No, they haven't been good of late. Doesn't mean he's bad at it all of a sudden. It just means he has not been good at it as of late. I think Bradley's getting a lot of a bad rap over these last couple of games. That I think
What? You broke up there for a second.
I think he's getting a bad rap. I think people are down on him saying he's been bad. I don't agree with that. I think he's been very workmanlike. No, he's not as advanced as he used to be in terms of being involved with setting up the attack. I think he lays back more and is more of a true defensive midfielder, more Beckerman than when Beckerman was paired with him than he was. I think he sits back a lot further now and dictates the game from there as opposed to being more advanced. He let Pulisic really take hold of that tonight, and Pulisic did fine with it. I don't think he was great at it, but I wasn't as impressed against Venezuela. I think it's, like I said, I think you need the dual pivot and you need to have Pulisic further where you don't have to make him try and take 30 yards of space to build the attack up. So.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And Joshua, I'll grant you that. Yeah, Acosta's a great free kicker, or great taker of free kicks. Yeah, I think you're right. And what I like is he seems to be able to serve the ball and shoot the ball. So, he is more of a hybrid there as opposed to like kind of a one-off like Bradley or Dempsey. But yeah, what I was going to say earlier too, when you were saying, I've never understood why he was taking the free kicks and not in the box. The point was just that I don't know that there was anyone else on the team who could get the ball exactly where he could. Because yeah, realistically, I'd rather have him in the box too. He's a much better kind of cleanup. Like I used to always say, in those games where we couldn't get a goal, get Bradley in the box because he'll score a dirty goal. He doesn't care if he has to break his neck to do it. He'll put the ball in the back of the net. He doesn't care if he has to stomp on somebody else's throat. He just wants to score. He doesn't care what it looks like. He doesn't care how it happens. Whatever part of his body it takes to put the ball in the net, he'll use. And for that reason, I'd love to see him, if the corners become Pulisic's or something to take, I'd love seeing Bradley like right around the top of the circle or something, kind of edge of the box where whatever happens in there, he just comes and cleans up and just smashes that ball in the back of the net. Or, if somebody heads it out, then it goes to him. He can bring it down and pass it to someone else, or he can hammer a volley or something. But
then he almost did that tonight. He had that shot from 30, 35 yards out. For that kind of distance, he's remarkably consistent at, if he doesn't hit the target, getting really damn close and forcing something out of it. And I think that's not a bad thing to have. And while you were talking about Pulisic taking corners or something like that, I started thinking, I'm like, that would be ideal because he's like shorter than I am. I mean, he's a midget, realistically speaking. And then I started realizing it doesn't matter. That ball, he seems to have a knack for finding the ball and being able to put it in the net, even when their guy's over him. So I don't know if you necessarily want him out there. I think you need him in the middle of the scrum, and he'll find a way to put it in the net. Kind of.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Sanchez seems to have that ability too for somebody who's 5'0" too. So
yeah, pretty much. In both cases, it's just guys who are, I think, more determined than most other players. Anyway.
I was going to say, and they just seem to have a read on where the ball is going to go and where they need to be to get the ball. And again, I'm going to use another sports analogy, and another sport analogy is the way Dennis Rodman used to be with rebounding. He studied it enough to know where the ball should be, and he would study off those tendencies. Same type of thing. Pulisic knows where the ball seems to be going and finds his way to get there.
Yeah, vision and vision, focus, determination. Yeah. Yeah, he kind of has all the tools. Anyway, what's your prediction for Mexico?
2-0. But they lose.
Oh, you're going 2-0 for US?
No, Mexico
Oh.
wins 2-0.
Um,
Mexico wins 2-0.
I thought you were suddenly
Oh God, no, I'm not that stupid.
reversing everything.
No. What?
I don't believe it'll happen really, but I'm going to call for a 1-0 U.S. win.
God, I hope you're right.
I'm going more for the positive vibes than true belief.
Oh, we're going that way. All right, I'll say 2-0. U.S. wins 2-0. They steal. They get the first one in the 70th minute and the second one in stoppage time. There we go. That's your prediction that I'm pulling out of my ass completely.
I think 1-1 is probably most likely. Well, I shouldn't say most likely, but the likeliest of say positive results for the U.S. But yeah, I'll call for 1-0 just so I can say, yeah, I said it. All right,
Leipzig 4-0 Mexico win. What do you hate us? Pulisic, that's we win. We win. All right, why not?
All right, you got anything else?
Well, let's go through what we have. We have the Twitter feed, the USFanTV, which everybody should be following.
Yes, of course.
Facebook that you don't use well enough.
We are using it more. We were perhaps lax on it before, but we are picking up speed there. Yeah, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, no Snapchat because
fuck Snapchat.
YouTube, as you can tell, and we are on the internet, all of which you'll find at USFanTV. So be sure to join us if you like the videos, and why would you not like to hate us? Be sure to subscribe and tell your friends. Hopefully they'll subscribe too. We enjoy having you guys with us. We love the chance to talk with you. And that said,
I got to quote Sticky Player. Fuck Wando.
I was just about to say, and so we got two things. As the comments went by, I lost what I was going to say. Yeah, I can't handle another 4-0 shellacking either. Whoever said that. So yes, definitely keep it not embarrassing, Joshua. Oh, Joshua, it was you too. And of course, fuck Wando.
Fuck Wando.
All right. You're done.
You're done.
Thanks, everybody.